Emily Ratajkowski, just clapped back at haters who insist on calling her a bimbo. She is never going to beat those bimbo allegations. She did so on TikTok with the caption, writing a best-selling, critically acclaimed book of essays only for people to still call you a bimbo every time they see some cleave. Short for cleavage, of course. Yeah.
She was naked on music videos.
Let's take a look at that video.
All 5 seconds of it?
Yeah, this.
Here we go.
All that work and what did it get me?
You should learn to just love the work for what it is, lady.
First comment, don't think I've ever seen a book not claimed to be a bestseller and critically acclaimed.
That is true.
Yeah, it's not exactly impressive. Another one said, your cleavage is amazing. Don't listen to them.
Like, is that the praise you pine for? Like, I love the intelligence of your cleavage.
Such a girl boss move. So I decided to look into what book Emrata has put out there and why is this...
I've never heard of this.
Why is this book critically acclaimed? Why is it a bestseller? She put this out in 2021 and it's titled My Body. Time magazine says it's smart and powerful. So here's the description. A deeply honest investigation of what it means to be a woman and a commodity from Emily Ratajkowski, the archetypal multi-hyphenate celebrity of our time. She's an acclaimed model and actress, an engaged political progressive, a formidable entrepreneur, a global social media phenomenon, and now a writer. Notice how that doesn't list the fact that she is a mother because she's not proud of that.
That's a really eloquent way to say she got sweet tits.
That's a really interesting observation. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that her being a mother was she a mom in 2021 when the book came out?
Yes, I believe she was.
Okay, it would be very okay. I would like to know for sure whether she had her child yet at that point. Not mentioning being a mother at all is a really bad sign.
You're a multi-hyphenate, but don't mention that you're a mother in all of those hyphens. Rocketing to world fame at age 21, Ratajkowski sparked both praise and furor with the provocative display of her body as an unapologetic statement of feminist empowerment. The subsequent evolution in her thinking about our culture's commodification of women is the subject of this book. It's a profoundly personal exploration of feminism, sexuality, and power, of men's treatment of women and women's rationalizations for accepting that treatment. These essays chronicle moments from Ratajkowski's life while investigating the culture's fetishization of girls and female beauty, its obsession with and contempt for women's sexuality, the perverse dynamics of the fashion and film industries, and the gray area between consent and abuse.
There is obsession.
The gray area between consent and abuse.
I would love the explanation on that.
That was an interesting point, though. There is like an obsession and then also like a betrayal.
Explain.
With women's sexuality?
With hot women.
That is notoriously the Madonna horror complex.
But we talked about this off air the other day about the porn star who committed suicide. And there was a large discussion about the amount of men who would talk about both, looking at her videos, but also detesting her and being judgmental of her in death. Right. So there actually is a fair discussion, at least online, right? Wherever you go to find this stuff, Twitter is the last place in the world you want to go to find rational discussions about these things. And obviously that's a far more extreme example than somebody who's simply, I also saw that she was singing recently.
Really?
Yeah. At like a Charlie XCX show.
What? Okay. Add that to the multi-hyphenate list.
But I think there's a discussion to be had there, though perhaps it's not relevant to her example. I think there is a commodification there.
Okay, but how are you going to lecture us about how women are commodified when you are the one who commodified yourself?
Exactly. Yep.
Also, audience who read the book chose some quotes here to feature. One is, the world celebrates and rewards women who are chosen by powerful men. Beauty was a way for me to be special. When I was special, I felt my parents' love for me the most. Feminism is all about choice. I reminded the world, so stop trying to control me.
Nice.
Yeah,
real deep stuff.
I think that what's interesting is like, this isn't meant to be judgmental of all women because we're talking about a very specific group here within Hollywood, which, there's a lot of narcissism, as much as that word is overused these days, within the Hollywood sphere, right? Like, there's all this really, really eloquent writing women do when it's in relation to themselves.
Is it eloquent or is it just verbose?
I think I used the word verbose off air, but depending on your take on it, right? I would call it verbose. Women who agree would probably call it eloquent, right? And they seem to be very good at coming up with a lot of rigmarole to describe how they feel about themselves and what is done to them. You don't see a lot of it outward, though.
What do you mean?
Like, you don't see a lot of that same language from them when talking about issues that don't affect them.
I mean, this is best. The best example of this is Taylor Swift. She is incredibly verbose and eloquent when she's talking about herself, but challenge her to write or talk about literally anything other than herself and her own personal experiences, and she's not really that exceptional.
I mean, that's not a problem for her job, because she's found her niche and it works. So that's perfect.
I mean, I think that what she's describing here, though, Emrata, she's describing all of these exchanges she has made using her sex appeal, and kind of gambling with her sex appeal to get resources and power and money. And she's blaming the world for it instead of herself.
I mean, self-important stuff aside, because I think that's like mostly what rubs people wrong, I'm assuming, about her reaction to this. I do think there is like some weight in that. Recently, it may be an online thing. It may be a terminally online thing more than anything. That, like, beautiful women in particular, like, really more so than ever in my lifetime, are bearing like a lot of hate online. And I wonder if it's because, like,
facing down a lot of hate online.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's because people see like girls and like 20-year-olds in OnlyFans buying houses and they can't afford rent, and they're like, well, she was just born that way, blah. And they get their ire that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, I feel like there's some weight to the argument of the hate going her way. I just always get annoyed with the fact when these type of women act like they're just like passive people.
The world happens to them.
Yeah, the world's happening to. They had no say. That's why I get upset with the whole like Kanye's wife. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, he dressed her like a." You think he really put the shirt on? And
I'm an empowered feminist, and have total control over my body and my sexuality.
Yet.
Not this.
However, it's still everyone else's choice to sexualize me. I'm not a sexual object. And by the way, when we were making the thumbnail for this, there is literally a photo of her smearing spaghetti all over her tits. And I'm like, of course people are going to call you a bimbo when you lead with your sexual appeal rather than your intellect. And it reminds me of Megan Fox. I think that this might be worse than Megan Fox's feminist poetry book. It might actually reach that level of stupidity. But there are these incredibly beautiful women who cannot handle the fact that people notice that about them first. And they're just desperate to be seen as anything other than their appearance. They are desperate to be seen as intellectuals, when in reality, they're just kind of average. Like, I bet, Megan Fox, she's definitely smarter than anyone as beautiful as her needs to be, but she's definitely not some kind of public intellectual.
Yeah. The other thing that I find interesting is the timeline for most of it, which is like back in the day, the women would have to endure a certain amount of objectification to be successful in their industry. Sure, right? And then down the line was when they would criticize it as they got older. Now they simultaneously be objectified and criticize it at the same time. Mm-hmm. Timeline-wise, that adds to like a lot of cognitive dissonance, I think.
You have to eat your cake. Have your cake and eat it too. Whereas, have your cake, meaning sexualize yourself for resources and money and power and influence. Correct. And then eat it too, meaning you get to complain about it.
I just think there's something beautiful of when our betters like don't engage in victim culture. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, she's objectively better looking than probably like 99.999% of like humanity. Mm-hmm. And if she, I don't know, was just like charming about it, like no one would ever. She would probably even write a book about this, and people would be like, "Yeah, I've never
Sweeney
really
seems to do
pondered
that.
like how. Yeah, Sydney Sweeney has
Other than the one comment about not being able to afford her house, that seems to be the only comment I can recall where she came off that way. She seems to embrace the fact that she's beautiful. She did have,
But then like you even justified it in a like
Yeah.
a logical way. I was like, yeah, you're right.
she did have that one comment where she's like, when I was young, I was like made fun of for having big boobs. I'm like, get big boobs.
poor-
they make
you
fun
poor
of you. Yeah,
thing.
small ones, they make fun of you. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what to tell you. You know,
You just tell me I was so shapely. Like,
yeah,
okay,
like
grow up.
it's interesting, and also this stuff is marketed towards women and women's discussions. So us critiquing it, however tepidly, puts us on the outskirts of something like this, where we're not the. I think I saw Mao Attack in the comments say like you're the target demographic for this, and you guys are eating it up. Yeah, we're having a discussion about it, but
We're not buying the book, that's
our
for sure.
discussion for this is the byproduct of what it's doing for her, which is selling it to people that actually agree with her.
Mm-hmm.
And to more power to her. If there are people if there's a market for it, people are going to buy it. So whatever. It is, however, funny that when you're like, if you want to be seen that way, sometimes you can't. I mean, for the most part, you can't control how people see you.
I mean, but you can
Yes.
take certain measures, and I'm just looking at a woman who has broadcast her naked body all over the internet, essentially, and is smearing spaghetti sauce all over her tits while screaming, "Stop sexualizing
Why are
me!
they
Seriously, like-
Stop sexualizing me!" Like, it's just enough to make someone go crazy.
And I know I'm Captain Irony, but like I seriously mean this question. It's like, at what point will feminism and accountability not be at odds?
That's a good point.
Because feminism should be accountability. Because like with the claim for equality comes like or whatever, like comes responsibility of and that, by the way, that would be probably.
That will never happen.
With great female empowerment comes great responsibility.
It will never happen because most of feminism is built off Marxist ideology, which is oppressor versus oppressed. So when that is the baseline foundation of I mean, obviously not at the beginning, I'm saying the concept of it is Marxist in nature, meaning that men are oppressing us. Now, the first wave and second wave feminism might have worked towards equality. Past that now, with such an underlying nature behind the idea that men have oppressed you, you will never fully release yourself from that. It will always be there as either and perhaps it's true in some cases, but most of the time it'll just be an excuse. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she's also bought into this Marxist view that she's not actually even objectively beautiful. It's just men have arbitrarily decided that she's beautiful and have scapegoated her for it.
Russell in the
It's
chat
just bizarre
has
that,
a very
like-
interesting question. Says, what type of sauce was it? Meat, garlic, or maybe 3 cheese? I think it looked like meat sauce, but I'll have to do some more. I'll have to study more later.
I think it was
love
ragu.
It could have been ragu.
Maybe vodka sauce.
Prego.
Emily Ratajkowski.
Christ.
Perfect. Yes.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.